hey, you got to move from this Hakuna Matata kind of lifestyle.
Time to grow up.
Into your kingship, which is adopting your responsibility. And that is what the story shows of The Lion King. In this article, how watching movies can benefit our mental health. They talk a little bit about reducing stress. Hello
and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
And I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are going to talk about a concept called cinema therapy.
Something wrong with your head. Look, I think maybe you should see a professional.
Wrestler?
No, a psychiatrist.
Oh, you're a bit smaller than I imagined, Doctor. But I guess that's why they call you a shrink. Do you think there's hope for me, Doctor?
We came across this. We both love movies and, philosophy or psychology in a sense. And so this seems like the best of both worlds. So let's get into it. This is from Wikipedia, the definition of cinema therapy, a form of therapy of self-help that uses movies, particularly videos, as therapeutic tools. Cinema therapy can be a catalyst for healing and growth for those who are open to learning how movies affect people and to watch certain films with conscious awareness. Cinema therapy allows one to use the effect of imagery, plot, music, etc. in films on the psyche for insight, inspiration, emotional release or relief, and natural change. Used as part of psychotherapy, cinema therapy is an inventive method based on traditional therapeutic principles.
The whole idea of escapism is probably really prevalent in that. Like people have hard lives, and if you can get away from it for a little bit, I think this has always been human nature. Like when we were probably cavemen, we would sit around a fire and listen to somebody tell spinning
stories.
yarn, and tell stories.
I mean, just telling stories. This is probably where most of our biblical stories were oral stories before they were ever written down.
Yeah,
and most of the stories are, teach a lesson or
like a fable, and that's what makes it relatable to the human being. So if you're say you're a caveman, you're having a rough time of it in life, life is harsh and all that kind of stuff, and you go to a fire and you got an old shaman who gets up and starts talking about an old ancient story, and maybe and then all of a sudden you're taken to another place and you're feeling like your life isn't as bad. I could see that this therapy would be beneficial. I don't know if for people with real psychological problems, it probably doesn't help, but for people who have like a minor depression or an anxiety.
Do I look orange?
I didn't touch it.
Orange is not my color.
Not me. Hello, everybody.
Watching somebody else deal with maybe the same problems they're dealing with, or maybe a heightened same problems that they're dealing with in a story, in a movie.
And it kind of talks about that in this article that we'll be kind of referring to. But this idea that a therapist might be able to see in somebody a problem that they are having, that they can refer them to a film where maybe the hero of the story is dealing with the same problem and shows them overcome it.
Yes.
So
get past it. Yeah.
So basically, like, you're my client, let's have you watch this film, and I want you to put yourself in this character's shoes, like identify with this character and see them overcome this similar
issue,
problem.
Yeah. Can you think of any specific movies that like you think have kind of helped you in the past?
A lot of them in general are going to be things like overcoming adversity, I guess, in a sense. I'm in sales, so that mental game of just keeping going even though you don't feel like going. I mean, Batman, I mean, he's literally in a hole, right? And he climbs out of the hole, right? And that is, I mean, it's kind of a story trope, but and they in Batman, they make it very explicit. He's literally in a hole. And he has to climb out of the hole. A lot of stories have that, and maybe it's not as explicit, but a little more metaphorical. They're in an emotional hole, or they're in a financial hole. I mean, similar would be like a financial hole would be like It's a Wonderful Life.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
It's a Wonderful Life is a very relatable film, just like a slice of Americana. I mean, he doesn't like his life. If you have a client that doesn't really like their life and they gotta get past the disappointments of your everyday life, maybe show them that. And that I could imagine a therapist going, hey, there's better on the other side of it. There's movies about perseverance. Most survival movies are about that kind of thing. Like they just like The Revenant. Revenant is all about like surviving.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jordan Peterson has said that he would go see films with his kids, and especially his boy, he would tell him, he'd just be like, watch what the hero does.
Yeah.
Like just look and see what it is that the hero does. Right. And I think there's plenty of stories you can kind of relate to. As a dad, you'll probably be, in a sense, you almost have to be your kids' therapist a little bit, even though
or more of a coach.
I'm an advocate.
You just coach them.
Well, and a coach is kind of like a mix between a therapist and a what else?
Self-help guru.
Yeah, sure.
And a self-help guru.
Yeah, but I could imagine, like, if I feel like I have a kid that's not growing up out of adolescence, like maybe I would watch Lion King with them, right? And it's like, hey, you got to move from this Hakuna Matata kind of lifestyle.
Time to grow up.
Into your kingship, which is adopting your responsibility. And that is what the story shows of the Lion King, right? So you might have to put down the video games, and you might need to work 60 hours a week. Like, that's adopting responsibility.
Yeah. To get to the highest level, you need to put in that kind of work. Another one that comes to mind is The Gray with Liam Neeson. It's a kind of a metaphorical don't give up kind of film.
We need a fire. Then we find food. If we don't move and work now, we'll all freeze to death.
So in this article, the audience, you can read how watching movies can benefit our mental health, written by Emily Benton. It's on Psych Central.
Yeah, psychcentral.com.
But reduce stress. They talk a little bit about reducing stress, like watching a comedy, just being entertained, right? Reducing stress.
Well,
I mean, a lot of people live really stressful lives.
Yeah. Video games are another. You hear about guys who run Fortune 500 companies. They go home and play video games for like an hour before they go to bed or something like that. And it
can kind of de-stress them.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about, kind of taking a break from your life.
Yeah. Well, and finding the balance. Obviously, there are some guys that are falling into playing games
as addictions. Well,
20 hours, 40 hours a week.
Yeah, and movies can be addictions, right?
Movies,
watching
I think
television.
Less nowadays.
Yeah,
everybody's just addicted to their phones, so they don't go see movies. But of course, there's no good movies. But watching some of the old stuff, I think can really give you a little boost in euphoria, a little boost of a bit of respite, I guess, from the day-to-day kind of grind. Sometimes
it feels like the boom for movies always happened after something really horrific. Like after the Great Depression, we got a bunch of great movies. After World War II, we got a bunch of great movies. So it always feels like people need that escapism. I'm still waiting for the boon of great movies after COVID, but it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Oh,
you're right. After World War II, we had, and I read an article once about a lot of religious movies would come out after a war.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, after World War II, you had Ben-Hur, you had 10 Commandments.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
So let it be written.
You had some of these big,
yes, the like religious epics, yeah,
religious that came out, and those to this day I still love all of those. I think they're great.
This is from the article that we just mentioned. If you live with anxiety, with an anxiety disorder or depression, or you're simply anxious and stressed about work and family commitments, taking time to watch a movie could help improve your mood. So for a long time in the 90s, there was this boon of romantic comedies that came out. And I remember reading something about how even though they weren't like in-depth storylines, they improved mood because they were so lighthearted and they were so whimsical, and so the people would often get kind of caught up in that kind of thing. I mean, I can't imagine like really depressing movies, like people watching them and getting out of their depression. So it would mean that you would have to find the right movie to bring you out of the state of mind that you were in. So
right.
It's not all movies.
Yeah.
That would be beneficial, I guess.
Yeah. Well, in this article, it does talk about you're having this stuff go on in your life. Watch this film. So they would pinpoint films that would kind of help.
They would curate films according to the need.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. Still, even that, I do feel like if you watch, I mean, people go through really, really hard things in really, really hard places. You know, sometimes your asshole boss at work just doesn't seem like that big of a problem. If you watch a World War II show where they're trying to save a guy and a bunch of people die, like your problems become, and if you play it right, you can kind of see that your problems,
well, you got to put
as
yourself,
big as you
got to be
them.
able to relate to those characters. You got to be able to put yourself in that situation. You got to be able to, and then like you said, then if you relate to that, if you are affected by that through the storytelling, then you actually are, then you're one step ahead. You're like, oh, maybe my boss isn't that big of a deal. Yeah. I could see that. Check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull.
And if you liked this video, you are the subscriber we are looking for.
In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more.
For other random videos, check these out.
We'll see you, brother.
See ya.